from Dylan's Reptile Time. Hope you're all doing okay. Now this week we're going to have a look at the world's smallest reptiles. I'm down here, can you see me? Hello? Down here.
That's enough of that silliness, thank you very much. Yeah, so in this video we're going to have a look at the world's smallest reptiles. Now we did a video a few months back with the world's largest reptiles. We're going to go to the other end of the spectrum in this one, see the world's tiniest types of reptile, and we'll start with lizards. So the world's smallest lizard in the world is the nano chameleon from Madagascar. It's got a Latin name of Brookesia nana, and that can quite comfortably sit on the top of your little finger. It's tiny, and it's a very tiny species of chameleon. It was actually only first officially described to science this year in 2021, and it's the world. Not only is it the world's smallest lizard, it's also the world's smallest reptile in the world. So the male can get up to about 22 millimeters long, and the females only get slightly bigger than that. They get to like 29 millimeters long. So it's tiny. It's like the size of this piece of cheese. It's tiny. And before the nano chameleon was discovered, the world's smallest lizard up to then was another type of micro chameleon called Brookesia micra. And that was only very slightly bigger than the nano chameleon. But yeah, the nano chameleon is just a tiny bit smaller. And they're both, they're not arboreal. They don't climb trees like most other chameleons. They spend all of their time on the leaf litter on the forest floor. Yeah, so that was the world's smallest lizard, a teeny tiny nano chameleon. So miniaturization in the wild for vertebrates like reptiles is believed to be related to habitat loss, or the fact that they live in a kind of a smallish area. And I guess it's a case of, as the habitat reduces, the animal over years and years and years will get smaller to accommodate for that. And you can sometimes see it on islands. There's a few islands that have dwarf species of boas and pythons. So I guess as they live in a smaller kind of area, the mainland pythons and boas, they're a smaller species. And it's quite unusual really to see it in a place as big as Madagascar though. So you can only assume it's down to the habitat loss in Madagascar that's creating these, you know, miniature lizards and things. And it's something I've only just read up on. I need to read up on it a bit more because I find it fascinating that, you know, these animals can become smaller to accommodate for their loss of habitat. It's quite sad in a way, but it's quite fascinating as well. Now, the smallest snake in the world is the Barbados thread snake, and it's the smallest known species. It's only found on the Caribbean island of Barbados. It's possibly found on some of the, you know, nearby islands as well. And they're only about 10 centimeters long and about as thick as a piece of spaghetti. So they're tiny. They're, you know, as small as that. Can you imagine? Look at the size. And when you compare that to the world's largest snakes, like the anaconda and the reticulated python, which can get nearly as long as a bus, it's quite a big, massive size difference, isn't it? Now, blind snakes and thread snakes, like the Barbados thread snake, they're fossorial, so they're burrowing reptiles, which they're found in the ground, kind of like worms, you know, and they mainly eat really tiny, tiny insects and their larvae as well, and their eggs. And you're probably most likely to find them under rocks, under logs, especially when there's been a bit of rain, brings them up to the surface a bit more. You can find them there. And they're egg layers, so the female lays, would only lay about one egg, quite a large egg. And when they're born, they're about half the size of the adult, which is, in comparison to, it's a pretty big difference compared to the hatchlings of other snakes. You know, they're quite small compared to the adult, but the thread snake is quite a big baby. You know, when I say big, it's about that big, quite big compared to the adult size though. So what is the world's smallest tortoise then? So in South Africa, you've got quite a few different species of tortoises there, including the world's smallest. So it's the speckled Cape tortoise. And it's only found in a small arid area of South Africa called Little Namaqualand, I think it's called. And the males can get around 80 centimeters. Not 8, yeah, 8 centimeters, about that big. And the females just get a little bit bigger, around 10 centimeters. So, you know, it's only a little bit bigger than this potato. And they feed on all kinds of little succulents around the the rocky areas where they live. And like all tortoises, they're egg layers. And when they hatch from the egg, the baby tortoises, they're only about 3 centimeters long. Can you imagine how cute is that? About that big, tiny. Now, unfortunately, like a lot of reptiles, they are endangered in the wild because they're only found in a small area, and if they lose that habitat there, it's quite devastating for the species as well. And they also get taken from the wild illegally for the pet trade as well. And unfortunately, many don't survive the trip because a lot get smuggled out for the pet trade. Now, so if you are thinking of getting a tortoise as a reptile for a pet, they make really good pets, some tortoises anyway. But yeah, make sure that you have proof that they're captive bred, they're not taken from the wild or anything like that. So last but not least, what is the world's smallest species of crocodile? Well, when you think of crocodiles, you think of big, huge, fierce predators. The saltwater crocodile can get huge, but there's some pretty small species of crocodile out there as well. And there's a couple of contenders for the world's smallest crocodile. So the world's smallest species of crocodile is the West African dwarf crocodile. And that can get up to an average of between 4 and 5 feet, so it's pretty big. There was one recorded about 6 feet, I believe. And there's also one considered to be, or some people consider it to be, a separate species called the Congo dwarf crocodile. If that is a separate species, that would be the world's smallest because that only gets to around 4 feet long. But the actual world's smallest crocodilian, so when I say crocodilian, I mean alligators, caimans, crocodiles, gharials. But the world's smallest crocodilian is the CUVIER'S dwarf caiman. And it's only about 5.6 feet long. And it's from South America, lives across much of the river systems in South America, around the Amazon rainforest. And it eats pretty much any type of animal that it can fit in its mouth. So mainly fish, crabs, all types of amphibians, all kind of things like that. So yeah, the CUVIER'S dwarf caiman is considered to be the world's smallest crocodilian. But you've also got the West African dwarf crocodile as well. Right, so I hope that's cleared a lot of things up for you. You now know what the smallest types of reptile are out there. And yeah, we'll be back soon with another video. So yeah, take care, have a good Christmas everyone, and I'll see you soon. Bye.